We need authentic human connection. Yes, is alcohol bad for your brain? 100%. But when you weigh it up, the gain is far, far higher from hanging out with your friends than a couple of beers with your mates.
The best-selling author, award-winning podcast.
Transformative Purpose.
Hey guys, first off, welcome to this brand new episode on Transformative Purpose podcast. There are a lot of experts in this room who are helping us to put this episode together, and I want to extend my thank you to them. Now, you hear me talk about this all the time. Health is wealth. Most of us, when we are young, we use our health to buy wealth. And when we get older, we use wealth to buy health. Now, the conversation that we are about to have today is going to challenge this, hopefully, and help you get better health. And with a better mind, better body, we can make better conscious decisions, which leads to a better life. Now, let me introduce the speaker today. Joining me today is Andrew Cox. Andrew is a director and co-owner of Joint Dynamics, Hong Kong's first combined studio featuring physiotherapy, massage therapy, and personal training. Andrew is also the podcast host of Joint Dynamics, an educational podcast where he interviews inspiring people from physical therapists, osteopaths, personal trainers, strength coaches, exercise physiologists, nutritionists, doctors across a range of health-related topics. Andrew, welcome.
Great to be here, mate. And you left out Aaron Pang on that, who Andrew interviews on his podcast.
We did have a conversation a few weeks ago, right? It was fantastic. How long did we talk for?
I think we lost track of time, but I want to say an hour and a half, Aaron. And then we probably went on for about 20 minutes once I stopped as well. So it was a great conversation. I love
it. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. And this is what he said. Given the situation that we're in today, the kids, high anxiety, depression, high suicide rate, social media related issues, what is a path human species should take? What should we focus more on? Education, school, and at home?
I try to walk my talk as much as possible. So some days, though, I don't get a lot of time to look at emails and messages. So I'll be walking home and I'll be answering emails and almost planning for certain things the next day. But what I've found is a good habit for me to do when I get to my front door at home, and sometimes I'm literally, quote unquote, in the office. I'm walking along, typing on my phone. But I'll get home and I'm still not finished. And there was a couple of times when I walked in the door and I would still be on my phone and I wouldn't engage in a way that a father should engage with his children. I wouldn't engage with my wife as the way that a husband should engage with his wife when he walks in the door. So what I do now, and I'm pretty good at it in the sense of I stay to this habit that I've formed. Sometimes I stay at the front door and I'll finish what I'm doing. It might be 3 to 5 minutes, but I figure that's a better use of my time than walking in the door and being distracted. So in that regards, I try, and I think it's a good idea to try to walk our talk, because I know the amount of times that I say to my kids, get off the device and talk to me properly. Look me in the eyes when you talk to me or when you talk to someone else. Communicate with me authentically just for a moment. You can go back to what you're doing. So I try to walk my talk. You throw into our kids so many voices. Social media is amazing, but it's an amplifier, it seems, of everything that is good and everything that is bad. And according to the algorithms, if you go one way, then you'll probably get more of that one way. So it's difficult for our children to navigate that. So you throw in anxiety, which is really very real. I'm not saying it wasn't when I was a kid, but nobody was listening, I think. And I don't even know if that's a good or a bad thing. It was almost like, we'll just get on with it. The typical, and please don't take this as good advice, but the typical advice, when I was a kid was, well, I'm almost ashamed to say, take a spoonful of cement and harden up. Like, it's almost a joke, but yeah. And maybe there's a place for that, but it's so hard when you're talking about the topic that we're on.
It sounded like you never had any suicidal thought when you were young, right?
I didn't.
So when your kids mentioned those things to you, first of all, how did that make you feel, and how did you handle those?
So my heart sunk a little bit because at first it was surprise because they were so young. So first my heart sunk, and then curiosity came. I wanted to understand how it come up, and then I wanted to understand how did you react to that, and then I wanted to communicate with them to get an understanding that they're doing okay. Anxiety is very real, and pressures at school are very real, and friendships are very real. So with that comes a level of anxiety. Honestly, I never had that thought. Thank God. And whether or not I was just born that way or just wasn't ever put in a position where I thought that way. So, but I know that my kids are exposed to that. And how I handle that is just through curiosity, to be honest. The main thing I want with my children is to maintain a dialogue.
How does someone be a curious parent? What would the dialogue look like? Right?
All right, yeah, I do it every day. I literally say, how was your day at school? And, how was school? And, the answer from your kids is good. But then I scratch a little more. Okay, what subjects did you have? Science. Okay, what are you doing in science? Because, some things I'm really interested in. What are you doing in science? Oh, biology. How cool is that? What part of biology are you doing? So I just let my curiosity take me there. And if I'm not curious, I just find something. But when they give me the flippant answer, I just don't accept that. And I don't accept it. Some days I'll say to my kids, come on, you can try harder than that. Come on, I've been at work all day. I didn't get to see you before I left today. I want to hang out.
Yeah.
Really, tell me about
how do they take
school. And then they come around because I'm incessant, to be honest. So I'll wear them down.
You mentioned you're really into curiosity, and sounded like whatever dialogues that you were in with your children, you try to unpeel the different layers, right? Well, I was just wondering, where'd you get that from?
That's makes me reflect. This is great. That's why I love these conversations. My sisters are 8 and 9 years older than me. And so growing up, they'd have their friends over and, I'd be a 10-year-old and playing Trivial Pursuit with my sisters. And, I remember thinking how amazing my sisters are. And they were great to me. Like I had 3 mums, my real mum, obviously, and my 2 sisters really looked after me being 8 and 9 years older than me. So I was really blessed in that way. And my family, we had dinner at the table as a family just about every night. Small country town, not many people leave. So, of the 365 days a year, 90% of those were spent as a family around the dinner table. So, and sometimes my sisters would have their boyfriends or their friends. So it was a place like you and I sitting now. There was a place and conversation around
we're so
food.
far apart, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, this was about the size of my dinner table. My mum was here, my dad was there, and then I was up there beside my dad, my sister, and whoever.
And that's where conversations happen, right?
Yeah. And do you know, in that question that you asked me, I think, because first thing I thought of was sitting out our backyard with my sisters playing Trivial Pursuit, or there was this other game that they played where you'd ask scenarios. I can't remember what it was. So I was playing with that, and I just think that was where curiosity was born. And then at 15, here's another memory that was very strong. At 15, my second sister, my first sister, is 9 years older than my other one is 8 years older to the day. We're twins, 8 years apart. Anyway, so that sister went overseas when I was 15, and she went to Asia, the US, and then Europe. And I remember speaking to her on the phone. This was before mobile phones. I remember speaking to her on the phone, and I would just say to my sister, Vicky, tell me what you're looking at. And so she'd be, just say somewhere in Europe, in France or Spain, and I'd just say, tell me what you're looking at. So there was no, she'd handwritten postcards, and then my sister's voice would tap me into where she was at the moment. So I'd just be on the phone going, oh yeah, no way. And then just having that voyeuristic experience as a 15-year-old boy. And then I was lucky at 15 for the first time I got to travel overseas because of sport. I got to go to New Zealand, got on a plane, at 15 going, oh, this is amazing. Getting over to go play sport in another country. And I just remember thinking, how amazing was that? So I think that the curiosity came a lot from the dinner table, to be honest, and a lot from my sisters. My mum's a curious person. She's 80 years of age and she's still coming up with the theories on life and, so I think a lot of it came from my family.
Yeah. We're not going to have phones on our table today. We're just going to chat, right? So how can people break free and how can people implement something like that?
I think step one is awareness. So I think that's what what's great about a conversation with someone like you ask great questions and then you shine a mirror. Like just that, you gave me that moment where I went to my childhood and thought of my sisters, and I was like, oh, how cool is that? Well, maybe that's where my curiosity came from. But you shone a light, so you asked a great question, which brought awareness to my behaviours and my behaviours from the past in that example. So I think awareness is step one. What's the saying? We're a walking bundle of habits, and our habits will dictate. If you want to know where you're going to be in 5 years' time, then have a look at your habits. When you place it in the context of how does somebody create that environment at home with the family, step one is awareness. Step two is do you want to change? Then if you do want it to change, then you need to lead the way. We're the parents, or if you're someone in leadership, then the energy that you bring to the dinner table, or as a parent, as a leader, or as a parent in the business, or a parent as a business, or as a leader in a business, the energy that you bring is magnified by those that surround you. And everybody knows energy is contagious. So, if you want to change that, then be the change. Thank you, Gandhi. Again, come up again. Thank you, mate. He was onto something. So you need to lead the way.
Whenever my dad or my mom asked me about how school, I didn't want to respond because I hated school. Yeah. Like I never had that curiosity to pursue that academic excellence path that my parents wanted me to. So I ended up spending a lot of time in sports. But my parents never talked to me about sports, right? And like you said, if we just focus and be curious and find that common thread between you and your child and not focusing on what you want to talk about, you can have so much more meaningful dialogues, right? Mm.
Yeah. And you know what you said there, focus on what they want to talk about. Because sometimes as a parent, don't you feel that we're waiting for the moment to drop the lesson in? And sometimes it destroys a conversation. Because I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. Yeah, now's the time that I'm going to be a parent and hope I'll teach them. And in reflection, that not every time, but in reflection, some of the times I've done that, I've broken this bubble that we've created together.
One of the ways where parents often clash with children is that they are not speaking logic or reasoning to them at the right moment, like you said. Especially for younger children, when they're thinking with their right hemisphere, which is basically their language, their emotions, right? Sometimes parents come in with their logic, with a life lesson, but not showing empathy first, right? So by doing that, you're basically using your left side hemisphere to talk to their right side hemisphere when they're not there. And one of the jobs that parents need to, and this is from the author, that need to do more of is help children and teenagers integrate different parts of their brains better. So, because when somebody is emotionally driven, right, it means that their right side hemisphere is activated, and what you want them to do is to help them basically think more sort of vertically. But you can't go from left to right. It will clash.
Play helped me a lot to understand that moving with the body and creating this play state, almost sometimes a flow state, would change the way that someone views the world. And hopefully that might carry on outside of when they're not with me. I believe it does, and I've had reports back that it does.
How does somebody enter into a play state or flow state, like you just said?
Wow, that's a great question. So the role of a coach is to study an athlete, okay? And then once you study an athlete, and then you have an idea of where you want to take them. So, for example, that was a game, boxing, sparring, just to change that person's physiology. Sometimes you can use play to increase reactivity. So I might throw a ball at you, Aaron, and I'll watch you track movement, and then you'll respond. So you will perceive a stimulus and react. And if I can throw that slow, and then I can bounce it, and then I can bring two balls in, I can start. Yeah, you got it. So I can start at, I need to understand your threshold, because if there's too much chaos, then nothing works and you learn nothing from it. And if it's too easy, Aaron, catch, good boy, no authentic encouragement. That's, that doesn't. So you need to meet the athlete where they need to be met. So that's why I said, as a coach, you need to study,
like an incremental barrier almost, right? You got to make it challenging and fun.
Yeah. And you just, if this is your threshold, Aaron, and you turn up ready to go, then I'm going to play here. If this is your threshold and you turn up and you didn't have good sleep, and you're not been eating well, just say the world's beating you up, then maybe I'm going to set the challenge here. So that's, I need to know your threshold and sorry to have an idea of where you're going as well. And then I need to know who you are today, because you're not the same bloke today as you were yesterday. So that initial part of every session, the exploration, is building rapport and saying, just like to my kids, how was school?
Why is it important for people to act now? Let's say they're mid-age like us.
Yeah, great.
30 plus.
Yeah.
30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 plus, right?
Yeah.
Why do they need to act right now?
Lifting weights is an excellent way. Using that overload principle that I spoke about with load is an excellent way, as is making sure you have enough dietary protein. So those two things, as is having enough sleep. So you can see how they're all related. But if you love swimming, Aaron, then sprint. The overload comes from if you can swim...
Doing more laps.
50, yeah. But then also think fast twitch muscle fibers, because they're the bigger ones. If you can swim 50 meters in 35 seconds, Aaron, training away are going to try to get that number down to 34. So you can overload with speed as well. That's another way that you can stimulate muscle growth. I know what you're saying right now, everyone. I know what you're saying. What about my joint health? Yes, that's why you maybe invest in a coach or invest in someone that knows what they're doing online, because you can't lift heavy weights. You can't run fast enough to stimulate muscle growth. You can't swim fast enough to stimulate muscle growth. You can't play basketball hard enough to stimulate muscle growth, and you do if your joints are hurting. So you need to surround the overload principle with joint health movements and exercises as well.
Like people who feel that they're lacking motivation, right? You talk about kids. Yeah, I've got 2 boys, right? But some children, I guess some listeners might not have kids, or they might be on this pathway of finding what their motivational cue is.
Yeah.
How do you tackle that?
38% stick, 62% carrot, 80% mental, 97% physical. I meant that second one. But a lot of times what drives behavioural change is guilt, fear and shame, for example. The amount of times that I've worked with someone who said, I hate looking at myself in the mirror, and a real story, a lady that I worked with once said that a few times, who was a mother who had competed in, was an amazing person. And when this person said this one day, I said, you know what, you got to cut yourself some slack, because that thing, that body that you just said you don't appreciate at the moment, and you used the word hate, that thing bore your child. How do you feel about your body now? Cut yourself some slack and realise this amazing thing called your body that you just expressed disdain for is the very same thing that brought your beautiful daughter into your life. I once had a coach that said to me, and I thought it was really hard when he said it to me at first. He said, I don't care how you feel. All I care is what you do out on the field. And I thought, well, that's a bit heartless, mate, isn't it? You know what I mean? But actually, it was a beautiful and poignant, lovely slap in the face, because it doesn't matter. Sometimes it doesn't matter how I feel. Like, I don't feel like eating good food all the time. I don't feel like exercise. Okay, but know there's a cause and effect. If you don't ever feel like exercising, then what's the outcome there? Okay, are you okay with feeling like shit all the time? Are you okay with increased likelihood of joint pain? Are you okay? And research will suggest dark clouds, an increased likelihood of anxiety, depression. Are you okay with that? You want to know how you're going? Have a look at your 5 closest people. The energy that you bring is contagious, and the people that you surround yourself with is contagious for you as well. So if you want to have a look at how you're going, just have a look at the people that you hang around with the most, and just say there's behaviours there that are not in alignment with who you are, then weigh up a way to change that. Whether that means getting new mates, I don't know, or whether that means looking after your mate a little bit more. Yeah. Or just saying to your mate, dude, you're drinking a lot. Why are you drinking so much? I'm not going to drink with you anymore. Seriously. You're my best mate, if it is your best mate, or you're my good mate. Why are you drinking so much? And just have a meaningful conversation with someone and bring awareness. You don't have to be a psychologist, a coach, to just say to your mate, geez, I picked alcohol as a behaviour. It might be smoking, whatever. But the role of a friend is to support a friend and say, that's a behaviour that I don't want.
Have you ever offended anyone?
Oh, mate, far out. Jeez, what's that? Is the Pope Catholic? Yeah, I have, but I'm getting better at managing. Yeah. And, but that was was a learning moment when I offended. I was a competitive. I probably still am. I was a competitive bastard when I was younger, and so I would go on my way to offend people. Sometimes not to the best outcome for me. Sometimes it would be. But yes, I think learning to manage people when you run a business or you're in leadership, you learn to manage people, and sometimes I make mistakes without a doubt. But I'm getting better at if I have offended someone to search within myself, why did you do that? And then go to them to say, to work it out in a way. I'm getting better at that.
What is your view? Like after 2 hours of basketball, I'm going out to a pizza, maybe share a bottle of wine and some beer with some mates, right?
Yeah, I would say that is the optimal behaviour. Because, and as I said to you before, we're walking bundle of habits, and sometimes when I get asked questions, there's like this replay button because this is what I do every day. So I'm just going to say this thing that I've said so many times. And the thing that I've said so many times is social isolation will kill you long before dreaded carbohydrates and a couple of beers will, without a doubt. You know what I mean? If you went home, and we're talking about the majority of your behaviour. If you go home, if you say to your mates one night, you know what, boys, I'm just going home and I'm going to have steak. No, I'm going to go home. I'm going to have steak and eggs and green vegetables and mushrooms. And, wow, that's an amazing meal, Aaron. And a great follow-up to a good workout, good protein, good vegetables and minerals and all that sort of stuff. Wow, that's amazing. But you're going to sit at home by yourself. Your wife and your kids are out. You're going to sit at home by yourself. If you do that all the time, then, social isolation will kill you long. We're a social animal. So the affront to your system of having a pizza and drinking some beers is mitigated, is inoculated almost by the social connection that you get. We're tribal, and being around a team of other people, it's like excuse my language, it's like your dickheadometer. If you're behaving like an idiot, your mates will go, Coco, what are you doing? You're going on like a pork chop as an Australian. You're behaving in a way that's not cool. And your mates are there and you're like, yeah, I was. Whew. But if I'm by myself, I mightn't realise that. So it's good to have that connection for so many reasons. So having that beer and pizza with your mates is really good for your health. We're tribal. We need authentic human connection. Yes, is alcohol bad for your brain? 100%. But when you weigh it up, the gain is far higher from hanging out with your friends than a couple of beers with your mates. Everyone, the first thing you do tomorrow is get up and have a glass of water. Your day will be better. Your body craves water. Break the fast, whether or not you eat in the morning because of this time-restricted feeding thing, doesn't matter. But drink water. Drink a lot of water in the morning. It's a great thing to do. Invest in ways in which you can increase your energy via drinking enough water, via eating good foods. And that's not hard. You're going to eat something anyway. Why don't you make a better choice? Why don't you eat foods, the majority of the foods that you eat, you said it, 80-20 rule. And if you're not currently sick or in chronic pain, then 80-20 rule cuts it. But if you're in chronic pain and you want to get out of it, then 80-20 rule is not enough, to be honest. You need to go more to the 90-10 rule. I would say to people to find ways that you can honestly increase your vitality. And it's not hard. We just said it, water, good food, and get some movement. And guess what? You're not going to feel good all the time. That's fine. And what I was about to say before I got sidetracked was I still have pain in my left shoulder, in my right ankle, but I don't stop. I find a workaround and I just manipulate what I'm doing. So, just say, I hurt my back. First of all, for me, it was serious. For the first time, really, for a long time, I hurt my back lifting. And I was stupid too, so I learned from it. But I hurt my back, and it changed my life for 3 months. It changed my life, but I didn't stop. I just didn't lift heavy again, and I just found things that I could do that were still meaningful to me, but I found what I call it a workaround. And my suggestion to you is always find a workaround. That's just the way we are. Some people acclimate faster, but consistency is the magic sauce just about in everything. If I want to feel more relaxed with you and your mates, and if I don't feel comfortable once, okay, but I've got to give it a bigger shot than that.
We'll move on.
Or move on. You're right.
Right, move
on.
on.
If I don't fit, I'm out of here, Aaron.
It's tired covering.
Depends on what's most important to me.
It's tired covering for a long time, and it's tired trying to be somebody that you're not. So I think the point that you mentioned about tribe, I think it's important to find the social circle where you can bring your most authentic self and your true self, right, to the gathering.
Yeah, it's too hard being someone
and
else.
if people judge you, people don't accept you who you are, just find someone else, right? We got 8 billion people on this planet. Hey, I'm going to ask
we
you
should be able to find one, mate, shouldn't we? 8 billion of us.
What is the question you want to ask the next guest? So I asked you in the beginning.
Nima, pay it forward. Ooh, gee whiz. What is the question? Like Nima did. Nima's was heavy, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Nima asked you in the beginning, right?
Yeah,
Given all the challenges, anxiety, depression, right? What role should parents take? What should be the priority for parents?
Jeez, Nima's such a good bloke, isn't he? I've got to live up to that guy.
He's amazing. Yeah.
Damn you, Nima.
I told you I cried during the episode,
yeah,
right?
mate. He's an amazing human being. So fortunate to have met that guy. Okay, my question. You know, that competitive nature in me just has to be extinguished right now because I can't compete with Nima. What I would say, okay, here's a good question. Based on the stuff that we've spoke about today, I'm just going to try to be congruent. Looking at your days, your weeks, your months, your life, let's expand it out to that. Looking at your days, your weeks, your months, your life, what is one way that you can increase the likelihood of increasing your own personal energy management, bring more energy to your day, get more done in less time, get the same amount done, but you're not as deflated so you can go home and connect with life outside of your work? What is the one behavior that you can add to your life that will stick, that will help increase your vitality so you can do something that's more meaningful to you moving forward? What's the one thing that you can do? And here's my gift to that person. When you vocalize that in front of everyone, the likelihood of success is higher. Like if I say, you know what, for the next 30 days, I'm going to do 10 push-ups and I keep it to myself, the likelihood of success is might be there, might be not. But if I tell 5 people.
You don't want to look bad.
Yeah. So that's my gift. Who's your next speaker? Do you know?
I don't know. I've got a few lined
up.
Are
you lucky bugger? It's my gift to you, mate. Or
got a few lined up.
Maybe it can be boy or girl.
Yeah. Great.
Exercise number 1 for those of you at home. We're going to make something called the golfer's grip. So that's a fist. When I was boxing, that's a fist. Don't do that. Only bend the first 2. So we're going to call that the golfer's grip. It's like you're holding a golf stick. We're going to do it with me, mate. Let's go. Just the golfer's grip, the first 2 knuckles, and place those 2 knuckles on your temple. And touch your elbows together. And we're even going to link it to the breath. So breathe out. Now, Aaron, that's 12 o'clock. Imagine you're going to try to touch your elbows behind you at 6 o'clock. You're not going to get it, but try. So really open up and breathe in. Oh, how good does that feel? And then breathe out. Suggestive selling. No, it's not. It really does feel good. Breathe in. And so what you do, you're activating these muscles on the back and lengthening these muscles on the front. Breathe out. That was a long breath hold. Sorry, mate. I won't talk too much. Breathe in. 1, 2. Breathe out. Deep breath in through your nose. When you breathe in through your nose, magic happens. A few things. Breathe out. When you breathe in, you pick up nitric oxide. A dude won the Nobel Prize for that, Louis Ignaro, and all the work that he did on nitric oxide. But keep moving, everyone. We know the movement. I'm just going to talk. Nitric oxide is what's called a vasodilator. So when you breathe through your nose, keep moving. Keep going, mate. Don't let them down. Touch in front and try to touch behind. When you breathe through your nose, you pick up nitric oxide, and it's a vasodilator, so it opens up the things that deliver blood, and your brain gets more oxygen and more nutrients. Therefore, all of a sudden, you're like, I'm not tired anymore. Holy cow. I'm going to get back to work. I'm going to get more done in less time, energy management. So that's the first one. The second one, we're going to do the Lewitt technique. So we've done, let's say, 12 of those, enough to start to feel some fatigue and to really pump some breath as well, which will increase your circulation as well. And then the last one, I hope I don't go out of camera, but we're going to stretch our arms out to the side. So here's our spine. We're going to be 90 degrees from our spine with our arms. And I'm going to be your mirror, Aaron. So your left arm is going to rotate down and in like that, spot on. The right arm's going to do the opposite. It's going to rotate up and out. And we're going to look to your left. And then guess what we're going to do? We're going to switch the arms and switch the eyes. You got it. We're going to switch the arms and switch the eyes. Switch the arms, switch the eyes. Switch the arms, switch the eyes. One more time. Switch the arms, switch the eyes. Stop there. Leave the arms the same. And look to the hand that's facing up now. And then switch again. That's called the Lewitt technique. But that one, again, for the shoulder and the thoracic spine, which is related to the breath. It's a great thing to do. And also the tension through your neck. So just those two things. And in real life, if you're at work and just say I had a phone on me, technology can help you set a reminder for every 90 minutes. So just say if we did that without me talking and going on like a pork chop, we would have got that done, Aaron, in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Third exercise, the best one. Save the best till last. The principles are sit up nice and tall. Try to get the crown of your head, not the front of your head, the crown of your head just to touch the ceiling. But give it like 2 out of 10 effort. So I've just elongated my spine and then let your shoulders and arms just be relaxed. No tension in the neck. Next thing, no tension in the forehead. You can't be pissed at the world if your forehead's relaxed. Try to be pissed, upset at the world. You can't be. If your forehead's relaxed, it's magic. If your forehead's relaxed, you can't be upset. So forehead's relaxed, neck and shoulders relaxed, long spine. We're going to switch to only nasal breathing. To stimulate the relaxation response, we're going to breathe in for 4, we're going to breathe out for 6. The principle is simple. Breathe out for more time than what you breathe in for. The exhalation is longer than the inhalation.
Andrew, it's been a pleasure having you here. And just before I wrap up, I need to express my gratitude to the entire crew team here. You can't see them, but we got 3 amazing members, Georgie, Haley, and Eugene. Thank you so much for everything with the production today. And also thank you so much, South Lake, for sponsoring this beautiful venue for us to shoot this video. Thank you again, Andrew.
Yeah, my
it's
pleasure,
good to chat.
Aaron. I love hanging out, having these conversations. So thank you very much for allowing this opportunity.
And thank you so much for being one of my closest 5.
Awesome. See you, mate. Thank you.
See you, mate. Thank you.